This is the Open University.
You find me in Cordoba. This is the second trip that I've made with my girlfriend Naomi to Spain this year. We were in January all over Spain, really looking at Benidorm, looking at sort of brutalist skyscrapers by the beach and that kind of thing, escaping the cold weather up north. And this year we played a horrible trick on my good friend David McClimate, the bass player in Orange Juice, who came all the way from Australia via Japan to sublet our flat in Paris for a month. And we made a little pact with God and with the help of a weather machine, we made sure that when he and Janet, his wife, arrived in Paris, it was beautiful blue skies. But as soon as we left with the money he paid for the month, a very reasonable rate, the rain started and horrible low fronts started moving in from Britain, and a kind of post-Brexit revenge on Europe sending its crappy weather. And David and the whole of the north of France and a lot of Central Europe actually got soaked and flooded, really. And so we rushed down to Marseille, congratulating ourselves, dashing with the cash to the sunny south as we believed, only to find that it was also pouring with rain in Marseille. So we were walking along under the arcades at the harbour in Marseille, trying to avoid the rain for a while. We found some interesting places, though, in Marseille. There's a sort of trendy, creative area called the Cours Julien. So we climbed the hill to that. There's a kind of funny red and black staircase. You climb to that, and then there are people riding electric scooters and things, and illuminated signs and art centres and bars. Mostly bars up there, actually. Not even any particularly great cafes. But a lot of vintage clothes shops, so we were enjoying looking at those. And finding cafes a bit disappointing in Marseille. We looked at, we had coffee in a place called Petre and Couchette, which we liked, a place called Ben Moutour up the hill on the other side of the harbour, which we also liked, a place called Deep. But very few of the cafes that we kind of have come to know and love in Paris. This, by the way, this mountain is the one painted so often by Cézanne. It's the Mont Sainte-Victoire, which you see on the way down in the train. We also saw the Alps very clear. I wasn't quite sure if you could see Mont Blanc, I think, from the train as you look over France into Switzerland, and you could see the Matterhorn. I think they're both kind of perched pretty much on the border, but I'm not sure. The Matterhorn looked suspiciously small, so it might have just been a little spiky mountain. So after Marseille, we found it slightly unsettling. There were a lot of kind of people with hollow cheekbones and bulging eyes lying on mattresses late at night, staring up at you as you passed, not asking for money even, just looking like they kind of hated you with all the bile they could muster, and but also a kind of aggressive masculinity of people revving motorbikes, and the traffic is kind of annoying in Marseille. I don't really know why. I suppose everybody gets noisy motorbikes because there are a lot of hills there. We found an interesting art centre called Friche La Belle de Mai, which is sort of out south of north of the station, in a kind of redevelopment quarter where a lot of people were skateboarding, making a horrible clattering noise. I'm at the age where I hate skateboards. Used to ride one as a teenager in Edinburgh in sort of vacant car parks and things. But I liked some of the art in the Friche La Belle de Mai. They've got a huge space there for art, and it's really informal, a nice little bookstall down on the ground floor. We were staying in a place called the People Hostel in Marseille. People has branches in Strasbourg and other French cities, and it's quite a fresh, nicely designed hostel. Ours had a kind of theme of Matisse paper cutouts. So we had a few days in Marseille. There was a good exhibition down at the Museum, which is a really nice museum down at the harbour, of costume. The way that ethnic and, savage, one doesn't use these words anymore, but savage costume has influenced contemporary fashion. And lots of rain, lots of magazines, lots of fish at the market. And that was Marseille. Then, this is the Marseille Metro, actually, we also went to the l'unité d'habitation, of course, by Le Corbusier. The last time I'd been there was in 2014. It's almost a spiritually uplifting experience for me, especially going up onto the roof. Unfortunately, part of the roof, which is a primary school, has been roped off. You can't actually walk around it as you used to be able to do. There's a little kind of paddling pool in that part of the roof, but there are beautiful structures, and I always find the light fittings, the science fiction kind of light fittings, and the brutalism of the concrete, but the beautiful rounded forms, and it's really sculptural and really spiritual for me in some way as well. This is in Petron Couchette Cafe, where somebody was taking photographs of us. Un pain peut-on cacher un autre? This is a play on un train peut-on cacher un autre? One train can hide another. In their bakery in the cafe, one piece of bread can hide another, or perhaps you hide it by eating it. This is a composite of the two visits to the l'unité d'habitation, which Naomi made. I'm standing on the right in my 2014 incarnation, and on the left as I am today. And that's the roof, and the various fittings. I don't know if Jonathan Mead still lives in this building. He said when he moved in that he would only spend a couple of years there, so he may well have been true to his word. But Marseille, interesting, crumbly kind of city, almost like a sort of French version of Naples or something. I always think it's a bit like that. It's a kind of anarchic and slightly scary side. We really liked a second-hand clothes shop called Kenza, so this is us in Kenza. This is me trying on a jacket which I ended up buying for, I think, €2 in Kenza. And that's the art centre, the Friche La Belle de Mai. We had a friend who wasn't actually in town, had gone to Japan, Kaori, who is now living in Marseille. But she had done the menu for this Japanese restaurant that we went to up in the Cours Julien district on top of the hill. She designed their signage. So, so much for Marseille. After that, we went to some smaller towns. We went to Avignon, just really changing trains in Avignon. But we had time to look at the outside of the Palais des Papes. Between 1309 and 1376, 6 popes lived in Avignon, largely because the center of gravity for Christianity had moved to Constantinople, and so the popes needed somewhere closer to the centers of Western power to live, and that turned out to be Avignon. And after Avignon, we went to Perpignan, which is kind of, it's a weirdly Catalonian town in the south of France, really close to the Spanish border. It was actually formerly part of Catalonia, and it was also the seat of the kings of Majorca. So we went to visit their palace, the palace of the kings of Majorca, on a very windy day with kind of blue skies with very strange fluffy clouds, these clouds looking like sort of shapes drawn in white ink on a blue piece of paper. Something Matisse might have made with his paper constructions, his collages. And we really sensed the presence of pilgrims. Pilgrims used to stop in Perpignan, they still do actually, between Portugal and Rome. If you want to walk all the way from north of Portugal to Rome, you're A, crazy, and B, a Christian. But the most interesting shop we found in Perpignan was actually a Christian charity shop, which had a lot of very cheap clothes and some holy music playing. And it's kind of an interesting little city, which I'd never been to before. So I bought, on the way to the station, a kind of Tolstoy surf nightshirt at a charity shop. And then we headed off to cross the Pyrenees to head down to Barcelona, which is a perpetual favorite of ours. We'd last been in Barcelona actually just earlier this year, and we'd sort of this time ended up just revisiting a lot of our favorite places. Café Orval was our first destination, which is a sort of plants-dominated and ceramic and didactic furniture-dominated cafe. And near the Arc de Triomphe, the Barcelonian Arc de Triomphe, which is much prettier than the Parisian one. Sorry, David McClimber. And then we went to see an exhibition of AI, artificial intelligence, at the CCCB, which was sort of interesting, although it's a bit of a hackneyed topic these days. I liked a kind of Japanese abacus calculator, which was from the late 70s. This calculator was designed to help people transition from the abacus age in Japan to the calculator age. If you wanted both in the same device, this was, for a couple of years anyway, it was being sold as a way to transition from a thousands of years old device to a new one, which lasted only a couple of years before it was superseded. And what else did we went to a cafe called Three Marks, went to the Elinkant's flea market and walked along the beach at the sea, and also went to another favourite cafe which used to be called Satan's Corner Cafe, but it's now called the Right Side Coffee Bar, a much more bland name, I think you'll agree. We were staying in an Airbnb, beautifully designed Airbnb with tiles and because it's sort of vaulted ceiling, which is very characteristic Catalonian architecture. This is a brutalist power station. Looks like an LPG gas power station out by the beach. And some wildlife by the beach, a cat and a heron. And that's my Tolstoyan surf nightshirt. And that's a dress we bought in Marseille. They had quite a lot of these dresses, actually. I think they were €2 each. And that's in the Three Marks Cafe. That's in a pizza restaurant. I really like that figure, actually. Some of the best art I saw there. This is the latest thing. There's always new outrages being perpetrated on the Gaudi Cathedral. So the latest thing is it has these frills around its neck, a bit like a lizard. That's the facade which I find the most acceptable because it's Gaudi's own facade. The other facades are kind of just inventions, extrapolations, and abominations. And that was our Airbnb there. Then we headed down to Cordoba, where we are now, and stayed in a very cheap hotel near the sort of weird square that used to be a site of executions and bullfighting. And the Spanish Inquisition used to kill people there and torture them and all the rest of it. But this is, our train trip showed all these sort of strange oil refineries and things. Spain is very desert-like. You kind of forget how the high plains of Spain are essentially like North Africa. That's a strange little boy in a window dummy, a shop window. The usual charity shops and things. The Spanish, though, they like to buy things new, I think. So we went to a market on Sunday, flea market, which had almost no second-hand clothes. It was all dead stock. Oh, this is back in Barcelona, going backwards in time here. That's an 80s fashion institute in Pobleno. A sort of hand-painted sign for amazingly 80s fashion. It looks like a Cyndi Lauper video. And the last shot of the Airbnb there. So yeah, now this is Cordoba, and beautiful. We'd been so impressed by our 1 day's visit in October 2021 that we had to come back and spend 4 days here. We managed to pack a lot into that 1 day, though, so we found that basically 4 days were just sort of managing to recapitulate what we did in that 1 day at some greater length. This is the bridge. It was a very beautiful bridge over the river, leading towards the very impressive C3A, which is a contemporary museum designed by Nieto and Sobejano, and it's C3A stands for the Centro de Creación Contemporánea de Andalucía. Here's a shop called Nicholas, which was never open whenever we passed it, and some ceramics, and the fortifications of the old town. Often behind these are amazing gardens in Cordoba, and some pretty funky and funny tavernas. Although a lot of the food is fried, so be prepared for that. We haven't found much in the way of vegetables so far. But we love the sort of ambience, this tiled restaurants and very traditional. And the one we were in this evening actually was playing sort of Liszt waltzes, Beethoven and strange things like that. And it always looks like midday at the OK Corral. It always feels a little bit like you're in a spaghetti western. Or you get flashbacks to Greek towns, Greek islands, and things like that. So the sort of Mediterranean civilization is always present. This picture reminds me of De Chirico, Pittura Metafisica, sort of strange, solitary figures walking past arches and the shadows of odd rearing horses and things like that. This was another sort of surreal moment. Somebody in there's a chain of shops called Aliop, or Ale Hop if you prefer, where they sell gimmicks, and this person was trying on a bird's head. This is just 70s shop fittings, which I always have an eye for. Me posing in front of the Moorish. This palace, this cathedral, it's known as the Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba, and it really is a funny amalgam of the Islamic Moorish mosque, which was there originally, and a sort of Catholic, rather kitschy plaster saints and bouncy babies and virgins and all the rest of it, symbolism of the Catholic Church. So it's almost like an architectural sound clash or something, sound system clash, except in architecture. Architecture, after all, is music you can dance to. Or is it? No, it's like dancing. Trying to describe music is like dancing around architecture. Something like that. It's something like that. I'm going to go away now and look up the real quote there. But I'm going to leave you with these pictures of the random architecture of blankets suspended around vans, and this old lady, pretty funky old lady at the market. This was all the flea market on Sunday. And this is today's pictures actually already. The very creepy baby in a shop window, and an electric candle you can light up with a coin. And of course us posing in the sunshine coming through stained glass windows in the Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba. We're off to Seville tomorrow to celebrate Naomi's birthday, and I'll see you in the next one.
Open University.